So maxim number 7, the greater the age difference between the older man and the younger woman, the tighter his game will need to be, barring compensatory attributes. And in a couple of these, he basically puts in parentheses money. So that is a classic, but it's not the only one. I want to convey this because guys get this. You always see guys mistake, well, she'd be attracted to me if I was rich, if I just had more money, or I could pick up more girls, if I just flashed more cash, had a Lambo, all of that nonsense. None of that matters. Girls are fucking unemployed guys with game every day and supporting them. So game is a great equalizer at the end of the day. But when you're older, you need to have stronger game. Let's say a guy is just, and this is what we say, things that can take the place of money as a compensatory attribute. We always say adventurers, you're a musician, you're a local artist, local celebrity, anything that puts you at the front of the room will compensate for a little bit of lack of money, especially when you're older. And we're saying older, we're going to go 40 and above. Girls, you're usually dating 10 years below you, 10, 15, 20 or more. Again, the tighter your game needs to be, the less you have going for you in your normal life. And then guys, guys in their 40s will still have a mattress on the floor and they're a bartender, a bodybuilding bartender, and him being exciting and older, even though he's not that well off, he's got to have extremely tight game to keep a girl interested. Guys are pretty good about attracting, when they're a little bit older and they have tight game, but keeping them around is a whole different thing. So you have to have extremely tight game to do well without the compensating factors. If you've got money, your game can be a little bit looser. And I'll show you the best example of this. Like yesterday, I saw Al Pacino is 87 and he's having a child with like a 29-year-old. These are the fine he doesn't have to have any game at all. And most famous men don't, because the fame is the game. The fame and the wealth that they walk around with, they've never really had to game women. They just pretty much said, here's my hotel room number, come on over. So again, he has so much fame and compensating attributes. He doesn't really need a lot of game to keep her interested. Some game, you got to keep, girls will come and go. But again, that's an extreme example of a 60-year difference in age. But there's so many compensating attributes and probably some game, because he is an actor, and actors usually tend to be very good at game. But it's not that necessary. The fame and the wealth and the celebrity can keep her locked in, and he's got like 10% game. Whereas if he's just a normal guy, you're going to have you're going to date 10 to 20 years older, maybe 30, or younger, I'm sorry, depending on where you're at. And you're going to have more game to attract. But it can be done, because mostly girls are looking for that confidence, and guys in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who understand this will have far more confidence than your average 20, 22-year-old. And one thing I always try to convey too is like a 60-year-old guy that's not insanely wealthy, but is interesting and has energy and is in good shape, can still date late 20s, early 30s with good game, not tight game, but it's all balanced. But again, and guys always go, well, who wants a 30-year-old woman? Because you guys sometimes don't really look at this, the whole big picture, but that's half his age. He's dating someone, and I always say, even at 10 years, if you're 50, a 40-year-old looks relatively younger. So you have to always, if you're looking at this stuff from like in your 32 or 33, it doesn't really apply to you yet, but you'll want to know this going forward. And for guys that are just getting divorced and you're in your 40s or 50s, don't even bother too much with girls your own age, your peer group, because they're going to be hostile to you. Go 10 years younger. And girls are surprisingly forgiving. If you're like getting back on your feet and you have some game and some personality and some charisma, they understand you're still getting back on your feet after your divorce, and they will allow for that. As Bunny knows, the sexiest man on the internet. That's very funny. But this is an important thing to understand, because it's not about the money. Guys with game beat guys with money all the time. And if you want to see a girl disappointed, you can put her around a guy that's pretty wealthy, that has no personality, no charisma. He's a one-trick pony. And they're really kind of like let down, because, you always think, well, if he can earn a lot of money, he's very successful in business. But in reality, there's no carryover. There's an alpha guy. It's all about the quality of the women, the number of women that he can attract, and how strong is that attraction. And, valor on the battlefield, sports accomplishments, business accomplishments, wealth, none of that really carries over when it comes to game. So a lot of game is that charisma, that's that inner charisma. Again, sometimes you'll see somebody that has it all, like like a Trump, who has money and charisma and history, and he's older and all these things. You don't want to leave your sister, wife, girlfriend in a room with these guys, because they just literally glow with charisma, and they're attracted to them like a moth to a flame. So you've got to know. But the good thing is the charisma can be developed. When people talk about the three big things like fitness, game, and business, the easiest to develop, as far as like if you do A, you'll get B, is fitness. If you just stick with fitness, and 45 pounds is 45 pounds and a bar is 45 pounds, it's very straightforward, black and white. And you'll probably see results within 3 to 6 months in fitness. Then the next fastest is game. Usually kind of applying yourself and applying game in your life while you're working on your body, working on your game. You'll see that usually within 3 to 6 months, 6 months on the outside, you'll start seeing some success. The hardest being business. You can work 5, 10, 15 years in business and not see any compensation for it and no return on your investment. So those are the tricky ones. Fitness is black and white. Every person that we put under a bar gets stronger. In game, we can coach guys to improve their game a certain number of points. And we can take a guy that's not getting laid to getting laid pretty predictably, pretty quick. But with business, there's more variables. Every one of these, the more variables you throw in. With fitness, it's just you versus you. With game, it's you with women, and as many as you can run. And then with business, you got all kinds of variables going on. So those are the deal. That's the deal with like what works best and fastest and get you the most return on your investment of time and money. Again, the Maxim number 7, the greater the age difference between the older man and the younger woman, the tighter his game will need to be, barring compensatory attributes, money. So the less money you have, the better and tighter your game will need to be in the long run. And there's no downside to having game, because game stays with you forever. Money will come and go, and you'll lose some and win some and gain some and lose some. But with game, you kind of always have those skills as long as you're practicing. So let's see what else we got going.